In Microsoft Excel, the if function allows us to make a decision based upon some condition. And so if a condition is met, if a condition is true, we could do one thing. And if that condition is not met, if it's not true, we could do something else. In this video, we're going to see how to use the if function to randomly assign a title to some individuals. We're building a random name generator here. This is the second step in the process. And as you can see, this spreadsheet here is randomly generating names. And the way the title is going to be generated is by using the if function. In this video, we're going to learn all about that and see how to do it. Let's get to it. To randomly generate a title, what we're going to do is we're going to look a title up from this table over here, and we're going to use the same process that we saw in the previous video of randomly choosing a number between 1 and 7, and then using the XLOOKUP function to look up that random number in this column, this list, this array of numbers right here, and then returning the value associated with it. So if we randomly chose the number 4, we'd use XLOOKUP to look up the number 4 in this column, and then return the value associated with 4, which would be miss. But we only want to do this for some people because not everybody's going to have a title. And so to only do it for some people, we need some sort of a criteria which will randomly choose whether or not somebody receives a title. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a random number right here. So this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to use the rand function to do that. And so what rand does it will return a value between 0 and 1. And you can see this happen right here. So as I press F9 on my keyboard to automatically recalculate all of the formulas and functions on this worksheet, as I press F9, you could see random values being generated. So for each person, we could, as we create more, as we create this formula for all of this record right here and then copy it down all of these rows, for each person in each row, we could have random numbers being generated. And then we could look at those random numbers and we could say, hey, is this random number less than 0.5? So this could be our test condition right here. And we'll take this number and test it against this value. That will be our test value. And so we'll say, is this number here less than 0.5? And when this number is less than 0.5, we'll say, give them a title. And when it's not less than 0.5, they won't get a title. So that's how we're going to create this. And to do it, we're going to use the if function. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to type equals and then type in if, and then I'm going to hit tab to select this function right here. But right before I hit tab to select it, you could read the description in this little tooltip. The if function will check whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. So I'm going to hit tab. That's the function I want. I'm going to hit tab to select that. And now I need to give it a logical test. And so you could see the syntax for the function here. It's showing me the if function takes in an argument, and that argument, the value that I have to give it, is a logical test. A logical test is a test which evaluates as either true or false. And so there are comparison operators in Microsoft Excel and in many different programming situations, including programming computers, right? There are comparison operators, and in a previous video, we went over all of these. So if you want to check that video out and look at this in depth, there's a link in the description which will walk you through all of this really slowly and show you all of the documentation so you could build your skills up and totally understand everything that you're seeing here. So go watch that video if you want to watch all that in detail. So we're going to give it a logical test, and you can see that this argument that I'm entering right now is the one in bold, and the logical test that I'm going to give it is this value less than that value right there? And I'm going to press F4 on my keyboard to hold the test value constant and make it absolute, because as I copy this formula down over lower rows, I always absolutely want to test the relative value associated with each record to the top value, which is the test value. So here's our logical test. Is H3 less than H2? I'm going to enter a comma. What value do I want if that is true? The value that I want, if it's true, is to have a value looked up from over in this title table. So I'm going to do XLOOKUP to look up a value. And the value that I want to look up is going to be a random value between 1 and 7. Why 1 and 7? Because there's 7 possible titles. So I'm going to generate a random number between 1 and 7, and that's what RANDBETWEEN will give me. And then that will be the value that is looked up in this column, this list, this array of values right there. So I'm going to press F4 to hold that absolute also. And then where do I want the value returned? to come from. I want the value returned to come from this list, this column, that array right there. And again, I'm going to press F4 to hold that absolute. And I'm going to do my ending parenthesis to finish that. And I have one more argument to enter, which is the value if false. I could leave that blank because it's optional. So if I wanted to, I could just hit my, my ending paren right there. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a comma and then just put in double quotes, and that tells me, hey, return nothing. Return nothing if you know the condition is false. So now I'm going to hit my ending paren and press enter. And right here, 0.74 is greater than 0.5. It's not less than. So Grace Sanchez does not get a title. But as I press F9 on my keyboard, if I get a value like this one, 0.4, which is less than 0.5, then a title is randomly selected for this person, Mrs. Lillian Thomas. So that's how we randomly choose a title using the if function in conjunction with that rand function and this test condition over here. In the next video that I make for this YouTube channel, we're going to continue building this random name generator, and we're going to do that by using the AND function. So the AND function allows you to test multiple conditions in Microsoft Excel. In this video, we saw how the if function allows you to test one condition. In the next video, we're going to see how the AND function allows you to test on multiple conditions. If you want to check out that video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then toggle that little bell, and that will allow you to be notified when this video comes out. In addition, if there's anything else you want to learn about Microsoft Excel or all of technology, leave a note down in the comments area. I read those comments and then I make videos inspired by what people have requested. I look forward to seeing you next time.